So how do you do the mobile development these days? What are the process and what's the best way and quickest way to do this? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss exactly the answer to that question. So if you're not familiar with my channel, I would really suggest to take a look at some of the videos that I made in the past. I do talk about various technologies starting from Android to Oracle to Java to React to Angular and full stack web app. So in that context, about 3 years ago, I have created this video, and this is actually available on my channel's homepage. So this is the very first video that is actually featured video. So in that video, I discussed how do you create an Android application that interacts with the Spring Boot Hibernate REST API. And it literally did an authentication, and it also created a CRUD app that you can actually run and interact with from an Android application. So it kind of looks like this. So you can log in, as you can see, there's an authentication thing. And also the app more or less kind of looks like this, right? You have a home page and then you get a vaccination type, and you can literally go and kind of look at the various vaccinations, and you can click on it and interact with it, and you can log out. It's pretty simple, but at the same time, very powerful. That shows you exactly how you can interact with various technologies. And of course, I deployed this thing, the API, rather the REST API in the Heroku. Okay, so coming back to my original question, how do you do that in today's world, right? Because I literally, as you could see, I had to use Android Studio, using their, basically their graphics and, drawing this, the UIs and connecting and coding and all kinds of things. Of course, I did it in Java. I could have done it in Kotlin as well, because Kotlin was available 3 years ago. But that was a lot of hard work. Nowadays, 3 years, later today, how would you do something like that? Well, that's a good question. So what I would say is, let's try to answer this together. So what I did is, nowadays, as you know, that AI is available and AI can do really excellent magics. So the very first thing that I wanted to do is first wanted to show you, if you ever wanted to get to this code, the old code, it is available on the GitHub. Of course, you can go to this repository, EVS_mobile, and of course, you can literally see how this thing interacts, right? It's a mobile application authenticates via the REST API, and the REST API is deployed in Heroku cloud and interacts with some MySQL database, which is also in another cloud environment called FreeSQL Database Online. So that's how it works. But again, at your leisure, you can take a look at this, but that's not what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss what's the new way of doing this. And how did I figure it out? Well, it's pretty simple. I used AI. The very first thing I did is, and you can do the same thing if you wanted to come up with what's the best way to do in today's world based on an old video. So the first thing I did is I downloaded this video, which you can do it using a lot of online tools that will let you download the videos for free. Then what I did is I went in Google and did a search. How do I transcribe the video to literal text, right? So I literally wanted to text dump of that entire video, talks, right? Well, the Google will give you a whole bunch of options. What I like to use, and I'll tell you again, I'm not working for this company, disclaimer. I like to use this, the TurboScribe. This one actually is free. The first 3 videos that you do per day is free. So it's a very neat choice, right? So I literally use this. So you literally drag and drop your video and choose what language it is. And it doesn't matter, fastest, balanced, most accurate. I just choose most accurate and transcribe. Then here you will be able to get like a text file. You can literally export that text file, okay? So I literally followed that process. Took my old video, transcribed it, got the transcription in a text file. Then guess what? I went to my friend Claude, right? In Claude, what I did, I literally it did a very simple prompt, as you could see right here. Analyze this 3-year-old viral YouTube video transcript and suggest new content ideas, context. Viewers are requesting more content like this based on the transcript's topics and technologies, considering what's evolved since then. Recommend YouTube video ideas. Match the original appeal, use current trend technologies, engage both juniors and developers, have viral potential in the software development community, focus on actionable concepts I can create today. And this is based on the transcript side. The transcript was pretty big, so as soon as I pasted it, it kind of automatically pasted it in Claude. So it's pretty long, right? Because it's about, I think, it's a pretty much like a 15, 16-minute video. So that's what I did. And then I ran it. And then guess what? It gave me all kinds of mumbo jumbo that it gave me actually really good ideas that, hey, yes, you did that long time ago, but nowadays it's not good anymore. You can literally use this. You should be using Fast API, Nest.js, Supabase, Firebase, blah, 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 blah. For mobile, you should not be using Android app or Android Studio, rather. Use Flutter or React Native. And then authorization, use Supabase with auth and OAuth and da-da-da-da-da. It just gave me all kinds of choices and said REST API is dead. Don't use REST API. Instead, use GraphQL or TRPC. And then it even gave me an idea of how you want to do episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. And it went in details, right? Now, that's a lot of stuff to look at, right? But I kind of, digested some of it. And I literally said, okay, based on what you are telling me, that there's two ways I could go about this, right? One way is, of course, I can use the Android Studio. And with the Android Studio, I could use Android Studio in Jetpack. So Android Studio does not recommend anymore using their UI, which you can still use their UI, drag and drop, but they suggest use the Jetpack. So that's one way. Then the other option is I can literally use React Native and the Supabase as the online database, the post-tier GRESS, which is kind of free. There's a free tier. So I said, what should I choose, React Native or this? Because I kind of digested this, and this is what in general it gave me that option. And then it went another narrative of mumbo jumbo saying why this is good, why this is bad. So literally, basically, was telling me at the end of the day that use React Native, which I think it is right, because React Native, see, I built an Android application, so I was stuck with Android, right? But my original question is, how do I build a mobile application? So if you really want to be mobile agnostic, then you really wanted to choose React Native, because then it's going to work on Apple. It's also going to work on an Android devices too. So of course, React Native is the way to go. So at the end of the day, that's basically what it told me, that use React Native. And you can use Expo is another tool that kind of like a framework that works with React Native, so that you can kind of test your stuff pretty quickly, and it's pretty cool. And I will touch base on that a little bit today. All right, so once I got all that, so my choice was React Native, and I'm going to use Supabase, and that's basically what I did. I literally told it to say, hey, articulate a script. Now, of course, it also told me that don't try to build it yourself. Use some kind of AI, right? Which is good. Yeah, that's exactly what I was heading towards, because I don't want to write a single line of code. So I literally articulated another script. I basically said, hey, I'm going to choose Bolt.new. By the way, you don't have to choose Bolt. Again, I don't work for Bolt. I like this because I have used Bolt before, and it does a very good job. You can use Lovable. You can use Cloud Code. You can also use, there's some other platforms, Windsurf and all that. But, be my guest. This prompt will work anywhere, okay? But I just said that articulate this script only for Bolt.new, because that's what I'm going to use to create a production-ready mobile app with Firebase Authentication. I specified exactly what I want. For this EVMS CRUD app that I already told them what it is, because it read my transcript from my video, and it knows it's a CRUD app. And I said, you have to use React Native that interacts with a secure GraphQL API and a database using Supabase. I literally gave it a lot of details. Then, of course, it literally gave me this nice little, not little, it's a really long markdown, documentation. Like starting from what to do, create this, here's the core requirements, what you're going to use, even your tables, policies, and GraphQL schema that's supposed to do, even your app structure, in React Native, authentication features, like what are the other features that it should have, and what type of role should do what. He just went on and on and on and gave me this really big shoot and match script, right? And even told you how do you want to do this. He told you how you just copy the script. It's like it just dumbed it down for anyone. Okay, but of course, let me be a little bit careful here. It cannot be for anyone because you have to be a software developer to understand this. I mean, a lot of people will not probably understand what does React Native means or full stack web app means and all that stuff. So you have to know you have to know a bit of software development so that you can know the terms and you also know what they're useful for. All right, moving on. So it gave me all this nice Bolt.new script that I could now just slap it on and then I can create the app. So let's look at that. Okay, so I pasted that entire mumbo jumbo into this. As you can see, this is Bolt.new. I mean, feel free to just type this thing Bolt.new and create your account. It's free. It's got a free trial. They'll give you some free tokens so you can actually at least do one app. And that's what I used. I created an account, and anyway, I just pasted the entire big and shoot and match prompt. And then when I pasted the prompt, it actually did some analysis, blah, 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 blah. And then it went and told me, look, because I did mention that I want to use GraphQL and I want to use Firebase and all that stuff, right? Then it also gave me some options saying, hey, we could use all that Firebase, but it would be easier and it will be quicker for this Bolt.new, to create the app using the existing authentication system that it has with Supabase Authentication and all that. And that way it will minimize a lot of things. So again, and like I say here, it's a critical limitations. It said that, yes, expert project has several constraints, blah, blah, blah. I cannot do all this Firebase authentication and an Apollo client with GraphQL, blah, 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 blah. And it says recommended approach. I can build this fully functional, blah, 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 blah using Supabase Auth, Supabase REST API, all CRUD operations. I said, okay, fine. You can do all this stuff. I don't have to do any of this thing. And by the way, in the previous version 3 years ago, I used Heroku Cloud. I don't need to worry about that because I can just use this, Bolt.new's cloud. This is cloud environment. We'll deploy it there as well. Of course, if you get the paid version, you can do all that. So just, I'm just using a free version. So at least to show you how to create the app, and you can, of course, deploy it here too. So I said, go ahead, build a working app that you can test immediately and preview with all core functionality intact. So that's what I basically said. Basically said, yeah, whatever heck that you suggested, go ahead, build it. And it went and did its thinking, and it went and did all of that stuff, and it did create it actually. And that's what I wanted to show you. So here's the code, right? And it literally built the code and the way the React Native works. So again, it's a similar app that I built 3 years ago. It's basically a CRUD app with authentication, and it does vaccination type. Now I'm literally building it from scratch without any code. Bolt literally just build it for me. So I literally build everything. And of course, you always have the option to export this thing into your local machine, which I did as well. I just want to show you. Here it is. So I actually, the exact same code is on my local machine, and you can actually run it here too if you want, right? And it literally tells you how to run it, all this stuff that you could look at it. All right, now, so let's look at how would you test this thing, right? It's a mobile application, it's an Android app, right? Of course, there's two options. You can test this thing on the web, but you can also test this thing in a mobile front end, right? So I'm going to show you how to do it on the mobile device, right? So when it's done building, it's going to give you something like this, right? It will tell you install Expo which is an app that you can download in either Android or also Apple. Once you have that, then you would just scan this QR code, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. As I already have this installed, and then it's going to tell me to scan or enter manual. I'm going to scan the QR code, and I just scanned it, and it's going to try to load and build it now, as you could see. Give it some time. It's building. It's basically just going to launch the localhost 8081 with the EXP protocol. So hopefully it will launch just in a second. It's launching. There we go. That's the app that it did. You can just continue. And I already have the user ID password, so I'm going to use that. There we go. I already have only one vaccination type. I already entered one data, as you can see this one. It's pretty basic, and it's got this icon at the bottom in the tools bar, as you can see. And this thing works. But of course, the create edit, it would be only valid if you're an admin, and that I still need to figure that one out. And of course, you can sign up. And that's it. So as you could see, it created a very basic app, but some disclaimer, yes, it did create a functional app, but I had to enter the data manually, even though it said that you can run this app with some default data and stuff like that, like these are the admin user and this is the normal user. It actually didn't work for me. So I had to literally go into my Supabase database, which is right here, which is kind of cool, and it actually created this. But that's another thing. It created these users, but it didn't use this users table because it is using the Supabase's authentication. It's using Supabase's user management. As you could see, I had to actually literally insert these two rows. Authentication, I had to like register, and the registration worked, but it only works if you put a like a validated email, which is good. I mean, it's all built in, and then you have to literally validate the email. Then it registers you properly, and it puts this into the database automatically through Supabase. So that's why I had to do this manual, and I also had to enter the vaccination types, like at least one of them, as you saw, the COVID-19 manually in the database. And I still have to figure out through the code that how the heck it did well, I know that it did the admin versus user, but that's not currently very obvious. You create a user, it becomes a normal user. So yeah, there's some caveat to it, which is, I mean, understandable, but it pretty much did a lot of coding for yourself, right? It's actually, or on behalf of you. It did an authentication system. It did the entire CRUD thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to go just mess around a little bit, like I can show you right now. Here, it put all that as an authentication and like registration stuff that you can. It's a sign up, it's a sign in. You have to go and look at it exactly how like it did it and like change it a little bit to make sure that this thing functions properly, and also some look and feel stuff. It's not pretty, pretty, especially the button at the bottom. But in general, it worked. I just wanted to show you that you can literally create that entire thing, a working app, using the AI completely, right? So that's the difference between 3 years ago and now, using the similar type, let's say, requirements, and how you would end up getting a full production ready app. Now, going further, that of course, if you really wanted to look at this code, I did put that code into the GitHub. There will be and I'll put this in the description below in the YouTube. It's called EVMS_Bolt. And again, it automatically created the README and everything for me, which is cool. And that's exactly what you want it to do. You don't want it to do a lot of things, right? So it actually created the README, and that README would show up. It will tell you exactly what's in there. So I didn't have to do anything. The only thing I added, which again, I'll tell you in a second, I added this, Mermaid flowchart. So kind of to show you what I did, just the, process, right? The old YouTube video, get the transcript, and then basically ask Claude technology choice. That's what Claude said, that you could either do this or that. I said, choose me a React Native, and then it gave me all these three options. And eventually I put that those options with React Native, dump that in the script, and it of course suggested that use this. And then it did its own thing and generated the app, created all this thing, and you can test and deploy. So I just literally put this entire process. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is even this flowchart, I did not write a single line of code or drag and drop. I literally went back to my Claude again, and this is the prompt I did. Create a visually stunning marmite flowchart showing this development journey. Old video transcript to modern approach research, iterative refinement, Bolt.new script, mobile app with authentication code, make it concise, error-free, and captivating. Look at that. It literally dumped me that entire marmite code. All I had to do, literally, that marmite code, I'll show you in here, that I only added a section on the README right here that you could see. Right after the first section, I added something called process and just added this marmite tag and literally slapped that entire code that it built and then end in the marmite tag. And then voila, and then I checked it in, and the result is stunning of this nice flowchart, right? And the rest of the stuff is the README that it already built. So anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to point that out, that didn't write a single line of code. The only thing I added is added data, and it pretty much built this thing in, but I would say maybe it took me, I don't know, 10-15 minutes to massage and all that, compared to all that mumbo jumbo I did 3 years ago. So it's pretty impressive and pretty stunning and pretty scary as well. So if this video helped you in any way, please do subscribe my channel, hit the like button, add comments, ask any questions that you have or any other videos that you would like to see, and also hit that bell icon so that you get notified for the subsequent videos in the future. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.